Hello everyone, Shahzwar Bugti here. So before we start the video, I want you to look at this image here, this compilation of celebrity faces. And I want you all just to see how many people you recognize, okay? How many of these celebrity faces do you recognize or that you've seen before? And I'll give you all a couple of seconds. Okay, so how many of you recognize maybe one or two of these faces? How many of you recognize maybe 4 or 5? Well, you shouldn't have recognized any, because every face here does not exist and is a fake, created by an artificial intelligence computer system. And there are thousands more just like it, potentially millions, all coming out of some new research being put forth by NVIDIA, which is the technology company most notable for the graphics cards and processors inside of your computer when you play video games. And it would appear that NVIDIA, who is obviously working with Uncle Sam, and they all do, they are using AI to create people out of thin air. And it's become quite disturbing to some people. Now some of you may remember that this past summer there was, well, what is called an image generator that hit the web, where you could basically draw a crude doodle of a face, and after which this AI or artificial intelligence would turn it into a photorealistic looking human face. And so it was part of something called the Pix-to-Pix project, and it was powered by a next level machine learning technique called generative adversarial networks. And so now NVIDIA has developed a system that employs GAN to create far more realistic faces. Now before we go further, just to show you a few examples of this Pix-to-Pix project, where again you can draw anything. It can be a face, it can be a picture of a shoe or an animal or a building, and this system will turn it into something that almost looks like it was snapped by a camera. So here you're seeing where someone crudely drew a shoe, a slip-on woman's shoe, and over here you can see that the AI system not only identified the correct coloring, but also the texture, the lighting, and made a very realistic copy. What was most impressive to me was, well, first there's two. This one here, what appears to be a kitten that someone has crudely drawn, and next to it something that again I would think was real or came from a real photograph had you not told me that it was created off a doodle. And then finally, what's probably the most amazing to me is that we have this drawing here that looks like it was made using nothing more than Microsoft Paint, which is then rendered into a realistic image of a building that looks like it came right off a New York City corner. And so this is the technology that is being implemented in this new fake face generation research. And so NVIDIA released a video of their GAN in action. Again, GAN stands for Generative Adversarial Network. And in this video that was released a couple of months back, these artificial intelligence created faces are both absolutely remarkable and incredibly eerie. If the average person didn't know that the faces were machine generated, they would easily be fooled into believing they were living people, as I did before I knew what the video was for. And indeed, this sort of blurring of the line between the human and the machine generated has been a big topic of discussion within the realm of AI. And it's got a lot of people disturbed. A lot of people think it's cool, which on one level it is. It's interesting, it's cool. But again, we know that when technology like this comes out, usually either the CIA, the NSA, the government, usually always has their hands in the back pocket of these companies and will take this tech and they will abuse it. They've done it before, they'll do it again. And so there's a question of what are the applications for software like this other than creating fake people for dubious reasons. I mean, I don't even want to think of the applications this could be used for, whether it be creating patsies or making up individuals to serve as victims of fake tragedies, putting people that are not real into photographs that could then be later used as false evidence. I just don't want to think of it. And who knows how long they've already been using this technology before letting it out to the public. And if you thought this was disturbing, it gets much worse, trust me. There are a number of AIs that are using something called deep learning techniques to also produce human sounding speech. Google, for instance, has something called WaveNet, which can now copy human speech almost perfectly. Now there's also a startup called Lyrebird, and it has an algorithm that is able to synthesize a human's voice using only 1 minute of audio. Now just think about that. Using only 1 minute of audio, this thing can copy your voice. And you know, immediately when I heard that, it made me think back to a film that came out in the 80s. Many of you probably don't know, many of you maybe do, but it was called Tango and Cash. And it was sort of this action buddy cop film that had Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell. And there was one point in the film where Kurt Russell discovers that there's this audio tape of him on there talking about some pretty dubious things. He realizes that it's a computer generated voice, and in the film it's used to frame him saying some very incriminating things. And so that's the first thing literally that I thought of when I heard that they were able to synthesize your voice. So imagine the government or the state has the power to take a small amount of audio of you talking, and before you know it, you're listening to a recording of what sounds like you, is talking like you, but that is saying some very scary things that you didn't say. And now imagine the applications of that. And so other dubious ways that this technology can be used is not only creating fakes, but editing real-time videos and erasing things. Now many of you may remember this, but around 8 years ago a video came out online displaying something called diminished reality. And what this was a piece of software that you could load into a camera that would be able to remove objects from a video in real time, as in while you're recording. And so we all know about augmented reality, it's used today, but back then this German software company created something called diminished reality. Now we've seen similar for photos, but this software can neatly delete any object from a live full motion video. And you're seeing examples of that here. Whether it's a person, whether it's an inanimate object, a chair, basically anything you select, this thing will remove. And the effect is achieved using an image synthesizer that reduces the image quality first, removes the object, and then increases the image quality back up. And all of this takes place within 40 milliseconds. Fast enough that the viewer doesn't notice any delay. And as the camera moves, the system maintains the illusion through tracking algorithms and guesswork. And the video and images that you're seeing here were just the first rough cut from 8 years ago. And look how amazingly scary it is. Now the only real application up to that point for diminished reality, as it's now called, was maybe used back in the days of Hollywood and still used today, where they would edit out things in motion pictures like wires, for instance. You got a guy swinging on wires, they erase them out in post and make it look like the guy is flying. Well, this does the same thing, only in real time, and while you could say it may be a helpful tool in movie editing, the hard truth is that it's not really being used in Hollywood. And after this came out 8 years ago, we've heard very little about this software since. And it's thought by many people that it too has been licensed to, or just straight up taken away, and is now being utilized by the government for some really dubious stuff. And again, you could only imagine the applications of something like this in order to completely erase anything that you don't want to show up in a video. So let your clock tick on that. All this technology has not been created for your benefit. Rather, most of it is produced to harm you and only for the benefit of those in power. Always keep that in mind. May God bless you.